Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. So yesterday's video, I discussed Anthem's roadmap. Its roadmap of content for April and May. And essentially they delayed about 90% of it. So in April, all they managed to really get out was, I think, like a free mission, a stronghold, and maybe some items. Probably for the cash shop. And on top of that, they also delayed the Cataclysm, which is coming in, or was going to be coming in May. Put it this way, Anthem players are having a pretty miserable time. And to think that Anthem came out middle-ish of February, if you went through the early access, 22nd of February if you're a plebeian and, you know, just bought the game when it should normally release. And in that time, in those 2 months, the game has already staged a coup. And players have already boycotted logging onto the game for a short period of time, a day or so, something like that, in regards to just how bad the loot drops are and other such gubbins around that. That's pretty intense stuff. Now, because this is like 2 Anthem videos on a bounce, it can look a little bit like the Simpsons meme, like, you know, stop punching him, he's already dead, type of thing. But the reason I want to go into today's video, which is a Reddit created survey for the Anthem forums, which I think actually gives a pretty decent insight into how Anthem players are actually feeling. But also, as soon as you stop talking about things, as soon as you start getting apathetic about things, this is exactly what the gaming industry want. They want apathetic people. They want people that just don't care. On the next thing. I don't care. Why? So they can keep producing this garbage. And when I say this garbage, I'm not trying to have a go again at the programmers. I am very sympathetic towards the programmers. It is the decision makers who are making these. And we need to be vocal and we need to be loud because we need to make the decision makers perfectly aware we don't want this type of shite. So let's get into this survey that was created. I forget the chap's name. Sorry, dude. Some weird name. And it's got roughly around 1,000 people who responded to these questions. Now, of course, this is a very specific number and it doesn't obviously cover the whole spectrum, but this is what surveys are. Surveys are an insight to give you an idea about how people are actually thinking, behaving, etc., etc. So the data that will be collated from this will actually be, I think, relatively clean, you know, bar the odd extreme ends, of course, at both sides. So the first question is, have you played Anthem for longer than an hour? 98.4% say yes. 1.6% say no. That kind of figures in, you know, ish. All you have to do really is that you buy a game, any game, let's say a console game, a PlayStation 4 game, an Xbox One game. Look at the achievements. Or on the PlayStation, look at the, whatever they call them, trophies. And then you can actually see what percentage of players have done something. So when you get an achievement like within the first 30 minutes of a game, then you look and it says 98.2% of people have got this achievement. Then you actually know there's like people that haven't even made it through half an hour. But so that kind of adds up. Except for Anthem, how much experience do you have with looter shooters? None, very little, some, quite a bit, or a lot. Now, the vast majority goes into quite a bit and a lot. Played most, if not all, popular loot shooters. And that takes up, what, 78, nearly 79%. So almost 4/5 of the player base are very experienced when it comes to the looter shooter franchise. And to get a little bit more specific, which ones? Borderlands, Destiny, Warframe, Division, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Diablo, Shadow Warrior series, Monster Hunter, not mentioned in this section, as my cat is up to mischief just to my right. knocking off my Warhammer 40k figures from top of my fridge. And you can see that by the percentages, you know, these guys play multiple. You can tell that they play multiple of these games. How many bugs have you experienced so far in Anthem? None, very little, a few, many, including hardware affecting bugs. Now, also remember that Anthem was causing bricking on PlayStation 4 consoles. It was literally causing it to reset. And I actually had that myself. So I can attest to that. And I had to reset up my external hard drive. I almost lost the data on that, so that got a bit scary. But if we look at the answer here, look, again, what's this? 70, nearly 71%. Many that are including hardware affecting bugs. And even a few is the next biggest. It's only a very small proportion of people who haven't been affected by bugs. And Anthem was a very buggy game. You could, not just from the high loading screens and poor optimization and stuff, but, you know, you'd be flying, you'd see a group of enemies, you'd fly into them, they'd vanish. You would get into situations where you'd be attacked by invisible enemies because the latency was just so poor, or the optimization was just so poor. Then you had the crashes, you had the freezes. Oh, you had all manner of stuff that was going on. It was a nightmare. Duplications of the javelins when you try. God in heaven. How many other people do you actively play Anthem with? If you play alone, please leave this blank. Now, this is interesting because if you look at the responses to all of these questions, there's roughly 1,050 people. Roughly 1,050 people. On this one, 500. Because it says, if you play alone, please leave this blank. So, approximately 50% of all Anthem players play alone. And then we have 1, if you play with like another person, almost 40%, 2, 25%. So there's not huge amounts of multiplayer here. It seems to be confined to either solo play or 1 or 2 players for the most. 1, 2, let's go to 3, because actually there's a big Trivial Pursuit wedge right there. So 1 up to 3 players really, and that is essentially it. Are you currently in a clan or a guild? Yep, only 11%, nearly 12%. No, 88 odd percent. Now, bear in mind, official clans / guilds aren't up yet. So these would be unofficial. So imagine these would be things like Discord groups, blog forums, etc., where people have managed to put together their own clans or guilds. They were one of the delayed features in the roadmap. The roadmap going nowhere. How would you rate the current developer feedback for Anthem? Now imagine 1 is bad and goes up to 5, which is good. So look at this. Either 1 or 2 takes 74 odd percent. 3/4 of people think it's either piss poor or poor. And Anthem themselves, the developers themselves, when they did their post, not yesterday, the day before, where they patted themselves on the back for actually managing to put one thing in the game, and then said, oh, by the way, 90% of the stuff is delayed. They actually did stress, we know we've been silent, but we've been working behind the scenes. And like I said, when you've created a game which has got so many problems, so many bugs, such a lack of depth of content, of things to do, and then you just shut up shop and stop communicating, you're essentially telling people, we don't want to talk to you. You're telling your audience, we don't want to talk, we don't want to communicate, and that is a big red flag for people to just go, bye, see ya, which we'll get to very shortly. So, not impressed at all with the communication, and it's even less than 1% of people think the communication's been very good. How would you rate the loot system for Anthem? Look at this. Look at this. 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5. And that takes what? 79, 84, 85%. About 85% of Anthem players saying the loot system is shit. Is absolutely shocking. And again, 5 people going, yay, the extreme. But here, only 19 saying, yeah, pretty decent. And only 133 is saying, yeah. But, jeez, that's a lot of unhappy people. How would you rate the community based on toxicity? It's a meh. There you go. It's a big meh. It's relatively balanced. So that's pretty much a whatever. How would you rate the current optimization for Anthem for PC players only? And again, not particularly well optimized. As I've talked about, latency, loading screens, mobs not loading in. Nightmares. How would you rate the cosmetics based on appearance, how they look? And it's sort of verging on not so good. And I haven't really seen any javelins which have absolutely blown me away, Any looks at the javelins which I've gone like, wow, that is stunning. And even in Destiny, and Destiny has had multiple problems, Destiny 2. Even in that game, you can see some of the armors and just be like, woof, wow. That's pretty damn impressive. But when it's come to Anthem, again, it just feels like such an ill thought out project. But it just comes across exactly for what it is. How much longer do you think you'll be playing Anthem on an active scale? This is where stuff gets real bad. Already quit, 53%. 53% already quit. Quitting soon, nearly 9%. Considering quitting, 19.5%. Not quitting anytime soon, 17%. And then not at all or never, just an absolute tiny slice. Tiny slice. So if you were to add up all of those three, you got 53, 73, 81, about 81, 82% of people are either quit or considering quitting. 82 odd percent. This is Fallout 76 levels of catastrophe in terms of player drop-off. But this is why we have to be vocal. This is why we can't let things like this just pass into the night. You got to call out the crap. You've got to call out the crap, because otherwise they will keep doing this, they will keep making this, and they'll keep trying to palm it off on people. And we just can't have this. The gaming industry is turning to shit right now. Nobody is getting live services right. And what I mean by that is nobody is having an ethical live service product. Nobody. They're all designed to fleece. They're all designed to scam. They're all designed to absolutely empty your wallets. And they are offering nothing in return. Nothing. I think Final Fantasy 14 Shadow Bringers, I think that's going to do really well. I got a feeling in my bones, because I think this live service malarkey is going to bring a bit of a renaissance for RPGs, because RPGs are known, or have been known, not talking about WoW here, for actually putting content in and giving people content to do. And, the Elder Scrolls is starting to really come into its own now, the Elder Scrolls Online. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, there seems to be a lot of interest in this expansion, particularly with the flop of Battle for Azeroth from World of Warcraft. And I've seen a lot of Guild Wars 2 adverts hitting around the place as well in recent times. So they're really trying to make a push for an audience as well. So I think people are going to start leaving live services and gravitate back towards MMORPGs. What are your views on the future of Anthem? Final question. Looks horrible, 12.5%. Not looking good at all, 35.5%. Looks concerning, 33.1%. So again, the trifecta at the top, which you really don't want, is taking over, 68... 78, 80, 81, 82% again. People have no faith in the future of this product. So I think this is a pretty, decent representation of how the current player base, the current audience for Anthem actually feels. I think there's some pretty good data here. And if I was BioWare, I would be treating this very seriously indeed. I won't be treating this like just some, Reddit survey. It means nothing. It's meaningless. No, these people genuinely look by their answers as if they're trying to put their honest voices out there. You can tell because there's nothing that's massively topsy-turvy. Especially when you come into some question, nothing's massively topsy-turvy. But when it comes to like playing, leaving, and the future of the game, that's an opinion, and people are not remotely optimistic for the future. Not good at all. So there you go. I think that's a really interesting survey, and well worth having a look at if you haven't. If you want to go into it a little bit deeper, but I'm telling you right now, the future of Anthem is not looking good at all. And I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.